Informatics. I think previously it must have been communicated I was to take another unit that is that is web object and the web services. But I think this is the unit that now have been assigned, and so this is what I'll be taking you. So, having said that, I also want to. Sorry for that. So I hope everyone now is ready to go. But before then, I just want to ask a general question, like um, when you saw this unit in your timetable or any other forum, what does it mean? What do you expect? That's a very hypothetical question, and I'm sure everyone of us here is in anticipation. What am I going to cover here? My philosophy in education or in teaching is like I wouldn't want a student to come to a class just to do a unit because it is indicated in the timetable. Or it is in the curriculum. I believe that one would do a course because the course is important and is going to play some role in their academic pursuit or in their professional life. So, this course, one will be like, yeah, social informatics. What does it mean, or how does it, play out? Shortly, I'll be demystifying what this is, so then we can actually be able to move forward with the course. So as usual, this first lecture, I'll always want to go take it easy, so that then you are also able to first to settle into the course, so that then you are able to prepare adequately, and then we'll be able to move on. So I will introduce the course and then give you something small that you can actually be able to do, which then will assist you to prepare well for this particular course. So I'm going to share my screen on what we are to cover today in a minute. So what I'm going to share is going to define what this social informatics is, so then we are all able to talk on the same footing. So the course is social informatics. In other places, it is done like a whole course, like what you are doing ICS. Some will do it as a whole, program. But in our case here, we are doing it as a unit. And that means, therefore, we'll not go into all the aspects of the program called social informatics, but we will understand broadly what social informatics is. So we start that social informatics really, as put there, is a multidisciplinary research field. It's multidisciplinary in the sense that it touches on a number of disciplines. And when we talk about discipline, that means we are talking about both the, the computing field as where you are. We are also talking about other fields like, sociology, all those disciplines that touch on human beings. So basically, we are trying to bring in the social aspect, what you can see here, social, and then we try to put meaning, informatics, really meaning through technology. Okay, so we are really looking at the implication of technology in the lives of people.
I haven't.
And in that particular case, then we will be reviewing and trying to analyze what we are calling the design, the uses, and the implication of the technology. So we are looking at the design, the uses, and the implication of the technology. I know all of you are currently undertaking IS project. And this IS project that you're doing, you anticipate it to solve societal problems, all problems in a society, because all help human beings do something in another way. So in that particular case, we talk about a human person being the center in all these aspects that we do. And that's what we are going to look at, social informatics, that we want to look at, understand the design, the uses, and the implication of a technology. And therefore, most important is the last two things. So we want to see in the interaction in an institutional or a cultural context. And I want to explain this, that and from this, I hope as we move on, every one of us will get to understand where systems fail. Um, One of the things that you'll notice is that some systems, when they are built, they work in particular environment well. When they are taken in another environment, they will not work well. The reason being is it is institutional or structural. You realize that when you are doing a system, sometimes you ask what we call the user needs. And this user needs, then the person whom you are interviewing or where you are collecting data from will tell you, this is the system I need. It must work like this. Meaning those people, they give you their thinking from their institutional perspective, from their environment perspective. But at the same time, there's what we call cultural context. Cultural context, culture defines a people. Culture defines the way of doing things, how things are being done in a particular environment. And therefore, a system must also be able to respond to those. And that is the very essence as to why many systems, sometimes you can buy a system from off the shelf, you can put it in a particular place, it fails because it might not have been conceptualized or built based on the cultural context. So, therefore, this particular course will enable you understand a system from both a humanistic perspective and from a technological perspective. In a nutshell, that is what that bullet number one is talking about. That understand a system that you develop from a humanistic point of view and from a technological point of view. Point number two, then it says, therefore, we know technology has also permeated every sector or every aspect of our lives. And by so doing, it has changed how we do things. It has also defined how we interact. Now, what we say here, throughput productivity, means it has also enhanced the production. Throughput means ability to generate, outcomes, all, outputs. So technology has helped to improve lives, so helps to do things in an extraordinary manner. That is the positive aspect of technology. But we are also aware that technology has also brought in some aspects which are not desirable, things which might not be correct. This then leads to what sometimes other scholars call it the duality of a technology. Maybe I can write here, duality of technology. Okay? Duality of technology means that technology has both the good side and also has the bad side. Okay? And therefore, when you are looking at social informatics, you want to analyze from the duality perspective, from the two sides, that what is the benefit in terms of then you are looking at the throughput productivity, and then what are the technological determinism. In other words, different systems are used in different ways, meaning that somebody may use it for the benefit of everyone, and another person may use it for the aspect of not supporting others, but with an aim of injuring others. And that's why we need to be aware that there's the duality aspect of technology, and you must have, therefore, the technological determinism when you are conceptualizing any system that you do. And this then resonates well and builds into the ethical practices and ethical principles that you did in your introductory courses of business ethics, all principles of ethics in your earlier courses. The other thing that I would want to mention here, therefore, once you understand those aspects relating to technology, the next thing is, therefore, we know that when you consider technology, you must look at the social aspect, but not only the technological aspect. Now, social aspect will touch about what I've talked about, the humanistic aspect. We'll touch on human, touch about people, okay, aspects that relate to people. Is this thing good for the people? Is it going to promote the well-being of the people? But not just the technology itself, and you do something which becomes problematic. That therefore that's what we call socio-technical systems in informatics, which is sometimes a bit complex. Why should it be complex? It's because most of us here, I can maybe say almost 99% of you have always done, saying, well, I am actually a computer scientist or an IT person. I have nothing to deal with, philosophy, a unit that you were taught. I have nothing to do with all those courses on humanity that you did. I'm sure today, therefore, you see the central role those courses play. In this period number 3, we are talking at period number 4, sorry, we are talking about you need to deal with the social and the technical aspect. And in the social, you need to understand the people. And therefore, if you want to understand the people, then it means you need to understand the principles of behavioralism. This is about behavior. there is what we call behaviorism. Sorry, a behaviorism principle. People, you are looking at it from a behaviorism aspect. Okay, there's a theory on behaviorism which explains why people behave in a particular way, and it has been used in system designs. And up there in the first bullet, remember we talked about we are going to look at the designs. At the same time, we are going to look at the user. Therefore, the user, we want to look at the user from the behaviorism perspective. Note that this is you know maybe this is a tall person, a short person. No. We are looking at the behavioral aspects of that individual in respect to the system. We also look at what we call um, the attitude of the people towards a given technology. Um, you realize that there are some people who will desire to do a given or to use a given technology as compared or in comparison to other technology. So that is an attitude, and therefore is a behavior. In fact, I was just analyzing a particular data set, which I'm going to use for my data science classes, and I was looking at how gender becomes a factor in a given technology in a particular place. So looking at how age brackets or age bracket plays a role in the type of technology to be adopted in a particular place. That is about people. That's about aspects that is related to a behavior of a given set of users. Then we talk about technological hardware or rather infrastructure. Therefore, that means now you moved from the social, you have now moved into the technical side or technology. You want to look at the technological aspects of technology infrastructure, which encompasses hardware and software. So this then means you are looking at, you cannot put in place a system that cannot support what cannot be supported by the infrastructure that exists. Then the other thing that you look at is the information structure. Now, when you look at the information structure here, what you are looking is the, for instance, we talk about the data formats. How do I actually store this my data? How do I actually communicate the things that I have put together? That's what we are talking about information structure. So you can see ideally, for you to be able to understand all these things, that means you understand the technology, you understand the human beings, and you understand the structure. The information structure itself becomes a very complex kind of thing, and hence many would say that really socio-technical system is a complex, or socio-informatics is a complex undertaking, but it's doable because if you are doing a good system, then it must actually reach to this. And therefore, if you fully comprehend these three things, you will be able to come up with a system that is acceptable because you have looked at the user, you have looked at the environment, and therefore you are going to solve a problem. That is really the intro of this course. This course is going to help you, number one, understand the designs, understand the user, and also try to put these these two things together in order to come up with a good system or something which is good. More importantly, you are also going to look at technology for the common good, yeah, for the common good of the society, right? So that is the kind of preamble about this particular course. So now I can open, um, invite any comment from any one of you before I give you this simple task that I said, social informatics. I'll give you this document. It's a 4-page document, 4-page document for you to be able to see the above things that I've talked about. But I've given you the idea or the gist of this particular course. So I will invite any question, clarification from you before I move to the next phase of this our discussion today. Good. I don't see any hand up, so assume we are all okay. So now, having given you that preamble, so you now know the unit. You now know what you may anticipate. I don't know whether Tangus wants to say something, Edmond. Okay. Um, so how are we going to conduct this course? Unlike the other courses that we have done, this is a course which is highly discussive. Highly discussive, meaning that you will discuss. That's number one. Highly analytical, meaning you will actually, when we say analytical, means that you will critique and actually see something beyond the surface. You go beyond the surface to get to understand why. There'll be the why questions that you need to have or to answer. Then the other thing is that this course will require you to be a good reader. I believe you are good readers, so you will read. There'll be a lot of reading. So then I'll give you materials to read, like what I'm going to give you, a 4-page document. Then one of you will come and actually explain some of the things, the understanding, or the application of those things in respect to what you would have analyzed in this particular section. So it's going to be an interactive, like the document I'm going to give you is a very short document, but you will need to have a very analytical and inquisitive mind. And I encourage you to read and actually maybe share with your friend, discuss with your friend what you have discovered in that particular paper and so kind of things. This is in preparation for you to understand the interpretation of the various theories. Like now you see I've talked about two. This is what I've talked about, duality of technology, behaviorism. Whereas myself, I'll say, duality means this, behaviorism means this. But I think it's only fair if you also are able to interpret it in your own way, because then it becomes meaningful. And there is a comment, yeah. Yes, you are. We will almost be done before that. I'm not able to admit somebody. I don't know his name. Your name is not complete. I wouldn't. So my apology, whoever is in the waiting room. I do not know his name. I will certainly not admit the person. So having said that, the other thing I want us now to agree is I want to use the same module leaders that we had last time uh, uh, as our reference point. So I'm going to share with them this material. It's a very short material, actually. Maybe I should actually uh, show it. Allow me to share it in a minute. In a minute, I'll be displaying it. Good. Yeah, this is the write-up I want you to read. It's by this Steve Swaya. Is one of the gurus or the leading experts in these fields of social informatics. So here he tries to extend my introduction. Basically, what I've given is the introduction, and so here you will get an in-depth understanding of some of those concepts. You see, I've talked about humanistic aspect. We talk about human-centered computing. I think I've written one paper, which again I'm going to give you that paper to read. I wrote some years back, I think around 6 or so years back, on user-centered design as an important element in designing systems. I have also written other papers on what we call as can we say context specific systems. So meaning that really that any system that you do or anything that you do, you must have the environment and you must have the people. So that is what this is all about. Is trying to explain the role of social informatics. So you understand the principles of social informatics, but I will be discussing those in substantive areas. You will see a little more on uh, on those principles. You will also have talked about context. You will see here it's also talked about context with dependence is a core principle of social informatics scholarship. It's certainly an important element in every system that you do. In masters, I talk a little bit in depth on this, but for your case here, I want you to appreciate like a context is what we are talking about a structure, okay? Like let's say a way in which an environment or a particular place where the system is going to be put is structured, how people behave, the nature in which people behave, interact. That becomes a context. You will also read a few things. That's why I said when you read this, please, I hope you'll be an inquisitive person. Please do not read it like you are reading another story, because these are the concepts which requires yourself as a reader and a scholar. I consider you to be good scholars to go in and interrogate this a little bit. To ask yourself, why is it this way? Why are people saying this way? You realize there is what you call problem oriented in informatics. This used to be the first. If I taught what we call web services, in web services we talk about change from problem domain into this is the modern paradigm of system design. The previous system design methodology used to focus on technology. that I have this technology, so I will design a system which fits this technology. Now, the modern way of doing things, which came as a consequence of this informatics, is where we talk about do not care about the technology. Moreover, the technology must follow the problem. So you move more into what we call problem domain. Okay, and that's what you are going to read here. You hear a little bit more. That's why when you are designing a system yourself, you design it in order to solve a given problem. You don't design because there's a technology. You may design something, but there's no technology. Okay, you may design a system because of a technology, but then it has nothing it is solving. Okay, and in that case, it doesn't become beneficial. That's the whole philosophy behind problem oriented. Other things here, there's what we call the critical orientation demands. We talk about the supply and demand aspect. Remember, the demand will be driven by the user and such kind of things. What else are you going to read? So those are some of the principles of socio-informatics that you will read there. You will also read other aspects are very critical. That is the common finding of socio-informatics. In other words, what are the observations people have seen which are very important? In greater details, you will hear more about use of ICT leads to multiple and sometimes paradoxical effects. Now, when we talk about multiple and sometimes paradoxical effects, that is what I talked about, the duality of technology. That it has both the positive and also it has the negative. Other aspects. So here you can see it's like you are discussing the benefits of ICT, but you go a little bit behind that basic listing that you've actually done. I think you can even list a little many of them, but here you look at it. There is what we call phenomenon of interest will vary by the level of analysis. Yes, this is where now you realize that one output becomes an input in another system that becomes, so you can see those are different levels, among other things that you will read there. And finally, there is the page 3, which will bring you to the next aspect, where you will then understand the debates which are there. So what do people think? So the debates is like, there are those who will support them, there are those who will actually no support. So these are the debates. You can also form part of the debate. I believe we are going to have that debate in our next lecture. Good. So as I said, this is the first lecture. I just wanted to give you a snapshot of what this course is about and also give you this task. It's a task, and I believe you will actually prepare well so that in the next lecture we'll have a good discussion. And the discussion is going to come from this paper. Please read this paper. Read it carefully. If you are able to access some of these reference materials, that's pretty fine. Read through it and let's actually get set. I think that is what I wanted to share today. And so I will send these materials together with that introductory section for you to prepare well for this particular class. And so welcome back, and let's do this. So that is really the end of today's lecture. However, there is something I need to mention, unless there is any question in respect to this yes, I can see there is a comment. And yes, yeah, there are those. Yes, you know how to take the register. You type your number, and then we go on with it. Yes, the course outline I will share. I will share actually next week. I'm editing something, so then it's much better. There is something I need to indicate. Announcements. Number one, please, when you are coming joining this class, join using your official name and your admission number. If possible, when you type it correctly. Use your official name. I know there is somebody I have not been able to admit because I do not know that person. I, I, I wouldn't want to admit a stranger to the class. That's number one. The number two, now I want to talk in respect to the number of units that you are doing, because I noticed I might not have how to call it. We are not going to have a forum for me to address that. So I want to address that because the administrator notified me about that. I am aware this group is doing 8 units. Unlike the previous semester that you did 6 units. You recall I came into the picture to coordinate or manage this program ICS. So I have tried to get to understand what may have happened. I have been briefed that there was actually a problem that occurred and the unit was not actually scheduled. One of the units that you ought to have done last semester was not scheduled. And so we regret that oversight occurred. But then this unit is when Yvonne, the course administrator, was I was having I liked getting to know have the students done all the units, so that by the time you finish your course, you do not have another course pending. I mean, you want to finish, so then you move to the next level. You recognize this is your last semester. Ordinarily, I believe it's your last semester. And if it's your last semester, so we like taking stock or auditing to see whether there is a unit that you ought to have done that you have not done. So when the course administrator was doing this, she established that there is a unit called corporate governance that you have not done. And it's a mandatory course. It's not what we normally call obligatory course. So it meant that you have to do it. If we don't offer it now, then it means you come in January to do it. That is not acceptable, not correct. I realize there is this gentleman called Matata. He's bringing Matata for us. So that is why the number of units this semester are 8. Otherwise, last semester you ought to have done 7, and this semester you do 7. So my apology for that, and I hope you understand. I also tried to check on the timetable whether the timetable is accommodative enough, because this time round I wanted a timetable where you are not moving from one class to the next class. I wanted, a timetable. How do you call it? A good timetable. Remember last time I came into managing the program when you already the semester had started. So this time round I have been. So if there are mistakes now, I will actually be glad to sort them, because we want a timetable that's flexible enough, good, because we don't want exhaustion. Last time, a number of you complained about exhaustion. Luckily, the 4th years were not really problematic. There was a problem with some other groups which we are tackling. So that is what I thought I needed to pass to you. The other things um, in respect to um, how the semester will move, I need to. I'll be having a meeting with all the lecturers who are handling you on Friday, and we'll be discussing a little bit more. But I will be glad, very much happy if there is anything that you think I need to know. So then we pass it to the lecturers, all maybe anything that you feel would make your experience good and make sure that you are able to finish in a good manner. That is my desire. I want everyone here to finish and feel like you finished in a good manner. Never mind about the starting. Sometimes the start may be wrong, but you can finish well. Or the start might be good, and then the finish can be horrible. I remember of, one athlete who was running, how to call it, this cross country in Uganda some time back. He ran very well in the start, very well. By the time he was finishing, he was exhausted, and if you could look at that clip, he was like, as much as he's running to the front, the steps he was taking to the back because he had lost balance. In fact, he was running to the front, but he was going backward, and everyone else whom he had left behind was overtaking him. That's not the situation I want you to be of exhaustion. I want you to be in finished in a good style. So Omando, yes.
I just wanted to, you had mentioned if we can say anything that will make our experience maybe a bit more comfortable.
Yes.
Um, it is unfortunate that we've been found in this situation because, as much as we understand that it was a mandatory unit, it was an oversight.
Yeah.
But even mentioning to my parents, it's a bit abnormal. Like when someone starts off a course, they usually know like the such number of units they do in a semester or something like that.
Mm.
So it would be a bit abnormal to find yourself having a carryover unit in your last semester,
Mm.
especially when you have a project. But since unfortunately we've been found in this situation and we have to do it, if it can be brought to the minds of the lecturers that we are still, as much as the situation is unprecedented, we are still carrying 8 units. Because many of them are still insisting on several assignments and still individual projects for each unit, forgetting that there's still our main fourth year project, and also they insist on this because working is online. We're not in direct contact. So
Yeah.
they feel assessment should be done more with more assessments and more assignments and projects. But I don't know if that is very possible considering the workload that we may have now having 8 units.
Yes, thank you, Stacy, for that observation. I will for sure. If you can check on what I've actually done, and this is how you are going to see my work. I not be. I don't want you guys to be stressed. My work. I've set this. What you can say the tempo, short, and then give you time to reflect such kind of things. Actually is what we'll be discussing on Friday. How do we make it easier, uh, considering the dynamics that have actually occurred? Thank you for that observation, and I will be passing the information to my colleagues, and we will be actually seeing how best we can assist on that. Afandi,
Good afternoon.
good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So
Welcome.
I'd like to mention that since the semester started on
Yeah.
Monday,
Yeah.
there are very many lecturers who haven't been attending the classes,
Oh.
and that is a bit inconveniencing because if we also have our own schedules to do things, it's very inconveniencing for us to prepare ourselves by 9 a.m. to be in class, yet there's no communication, prior communication, that there's no class going to go on.
Okay. My sincere apology on that one. I can actually comment that is my responsibility to supervise. On Monday, I actually was not fireable. I didn't supervise that, but I had delegated to somebody because you may be aware or you may not be aware. One of our colleagues lost his parent, and so. Um, Dean and I and a few colleagues of the faculty went to be with the family. Uh, uh, so we still continue praying for the family to have they have rested their mom, but we still continue praying for the family for strength. So then yesterday, I didn't get a report for sure. I will follow. I will follow Afandi. That is, it's only fair if, for instance, I will not be there. I communicate it to you. I certainly myself, I will tell you an example. Myself, I get offended if we agree we are meeting. I go, we are meeting, and you don't show up. It's that bad manners, I think. It's that bad manners on our side. And I think we will try to behave well. I take full responsibility of that. It is my responsibility to supervise to ensure that classes take off. They are not taking off because maybe somebody got an emergency or something like that. We communicate within the stipulated time. Was talking to the second years, I think 3 weeks ago, and I was very disappointed when a communication was sent to them very late, and it's inconvenience. And I'm even handling one other case. A parent called me at 10, and I couldn't refuse taking the call because it's important that we take this because of an inconvenience, like what Afandi you have mentioned. Um, I take note of this, and I will actually be making a follow up after this to ensure that it doesn't occur. And if somebody is going to miss, uh, should communicate it to you in advance, to you. Even if it doesn't communicate it to me, that's fine, but communicate to you in advance because it's a mark of respect yeah, that's I look at it that way. I take note of this, and it is very important that we do it correctly. Good. I hope we'll have fun. Most important, I think I was talking to some people from US the other day. I was telling them, have fun. And then they were wondering, these are the colleague professors, have fun in what you do. So I'm also telling you guys, have fun in what you do. What you are doing is you are studying. So far, I haven't had any general, complaint, be it from the lecturers or from your parents, because I talk to them. By the way, I talk to them. To me, that is very important because we must all work together, and that means you are having fun. I want you to finish. I want you to finish and finish well and finish in style. I know of IS project, which has had problems here and there. So we are in discussion on how we can improve a few aspects here and there. And I believe we are going to improve so that then you have fun. Studies should be fun. It's not, can I say, a prison or something like that. No, 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 no. It's really have fun and enjoy what you're doing. That's when you can actually excel. The other thing is, please make sure, because this is your last semester, you build networks amongst yourself. build networks among your faculty, the lecturers who are teaching you, build networks among the wider Swadmo community. The reason as why I'm talking about this network is that when you finish after this, you will need to after you need to know where do I call, whom do I send my CV to, and such kind of things. This is the time to build those networks. Never mind in the past maybe you didn't have the network. Doesn't matter. This is the time to create those networks. They become handy. They help you to navigate in the next level to come. Otherwise, that is all I had for. That is now Dr. Menga as the administrator of your program, and I will be glad to engage you on that aspect. Feel free to bring anything that will improve this as we make the best. I hear the government saying we are going to open. Certainly this morning, I think we had what we call a town hall meeting, the entire university fraternity. We stand guided. If they say we open, that's good. Still, anyway, they had said the storm is prepared, but if they say come in, we see what to do. But I think for your case, for your program, you who are here, I think we are going to continue this up to the end. Maybe we need the first years to come and know Stratmo. You know Stratmo in and out. I think I think continuing this way is somehow fair. But of course, again, if you want to meet uh, any members of staff in campus, you can always get in touch with me. I will always arrange. If you wanted to find any resource in campus that you need, you need like a textbook or such kind of things, always write to me. I'll actually contact with the librarians to make sure you are able to get the resource on how you can. If there is a machine that you want to make use of within campus, yeah, feel free. So for those who are within Nairobi, that is the essence. Otherwise, I wish you well this semester. I pray that you'll have all the success that you need. Bye for now, and good evening.